Okay, shalom, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasha'Allah, Koholoyim La Yahweh, Bachashim Yahushai, Bachashim Chahakadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and that by the Spirit taught us His beautiful truth. I just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to the best of their ability. This is Shachlan Awaf. Just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And this is Trump's spiritual advisor, right? Remember this guy? Trump's spiritual advisor. Now very sorry for Molesting a 12-year-old girl, right? And one of his lawyers previously claimed the 12-year-old girl seduced him. Show you how these how wicked this justice system is here. Former megachurch pastor Robert Mars, who previously advised Donald Trump on matters of faith, spirituality, and we can assume morality, has pleaded guilty to sexually abusing Cindy Clemenshire for several years, starting when she was 12 years old. A situation he previously described as inappropriate behavior. Of course, they're trying to keep it, PC. But this state of the Christian church as far as these so-called white people, man, they don't have no business with their hands on the scriptures. So I guess this guy supposedly paid her $270,000 in restitution. Crazy. And this lets you know too. Let me see here. Morris, who founded Gateway Church in South Lake, Texas, agreed to the plea deal. Like, why are you giving these people plea deals, man? If you know that they actually done what they done. It says, after having previously pleaded not guilty. So he pleaded not guilty, and then once they pretty much got down to the facts on his ass, now he pleading guilty, and they giving his ass some leeway. But this is Esau. It says in March, when he was indicted on 5 counts of lewd and indecent acts to a child. In exchange for having pleaded guilty this time, he received a 10-year suspended sentence. Look at that, bro. Of which he will serve 6 months and then be required to register as a sex offender. So he don't get no time. All he got to do is pay this $270,000 in restitution, which pretty much overall that's probably what the family wanted anyway. Which really does not seem like enough, given the many $million-dollar properties he owns. Yeah, because look, this dude he gon' do that little 6 months. He gonna phase off into the background, man. Probably play some motherfucking golf with Trump, man. That's it. It says, especially considering that he demanded that Gateway Church pay him millions after he was forced to resign over the whole being a, child molester thing last year. The fact that he stands to make more money from assaulting the 12-year-old victim is rather galling. No, well, but let me get a script real quick. Let me just get a quick script. Let's get a quick script. First off, we need to get 2 scriptures. Let's get this one first. And this man is being revealed, man. Esau, Edom, the man of sin, the son of perdition, is being revealed. That 2 Thessalonians 2:3 is jumping off the pages these days. Psalms 50:16. But unto the wicked, Yahweh saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Seeing thou hatest instructions, and casting my words behind thee. When thou sawest a thief, then thou consentest with him, and hast been partaker with adulterers. But the point is, what are you doing with the scriptures, man? You think Trump is gonna, and you think any reporters are gonna even question him about that? Well, what about your spiritual advisor? No, they gonna, they shutting all that shit down. You ain't gonna get none of those files. Cause if this guy he dealing, he could be on the fucking Epstein list. And if you go back into this story, I remember this story from a year, 2 years or so back. You know what I'm saying? Where he was dealing with her, man. You know what I'm saying? On some old, I don't know, some old sneaky sleepover at his house. Acting as if he's the pat. I don't know why people allow their kids to even be around people like that, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to be wise, man. Just because a motherfucker, even as a religious leader, it wouldn't be wise for me to say, well, you know what, allow your 12-year-old to come over and we're gonna have Bible study at school. They can stay the night. Everything is gonna be fine. I think she might have been, I don't know if he had kids, whatever the case may be. That shit is just stupid, bro. But anyway, what is he doing with the scriptures? You're supposed to be, and like I said again, you're not gonna hear nobody. These reporters not gonna ask Trump. They could see pretty much overall the reporters that's in the White House these days that's asking the questions. They are reporters that he's actually handpicking and allowing in there to ask questions. He's not getting all those people that used to ask him questions that would kind of throw his ass for a loop. No, them people gone. Remember he was calling he was calling them stupid. You're a horrible reporter. Your TV station is horrible. You're fake news. No, the people that's in there asking him questions now, they're just people that's, pretty much overall, I don't know if they are necessarily Trump supporters, but they lean towards him. I'll put it that way. They definitely not going to ask him anything that's going to, make him uncomfortable. I've noticed that as of late. You know what I'm saying? Them people gone. It was a guy from Australia. He was on, a little helicopter tarmac or whatever. When the helicopter is about to take off from the White House right on our White House lawn. And they had some reporters out there asking questions, but it was a guy from Australia a couple of weeks back. And he was asking Trump about, like his financial status and situation. Like, how do you have businesses in all these different countries, type of deal. And you're a businessman / president. He was pretty much like, isn't that like a conflict of interest? And he called him stupid as hell. Pretty much. He was like, yeah, and I'm going to meet with your I'm going to meet with your leader. And I'm going to tell them about what a bad reporter you are and how bad of news, some shit he was saying. But this is what, they're doing right now, and they're, really, it's that shameful spewing that's on Esau. Matter of fact, let me see something. This guy didn't even get no time. All he got was 6 months. We're going to go back to it, man. All he had to do was pay this chick $270,000 and he's done. And that's nothing. That's nothing, man. Oh, what was that? There's a lot coming out on these people right now. But they damn sure got away from that Epstein shit fast as hell. With that Captain Kirk shooting. Habakkuk 2:16, thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand. Boy, that's a serious cut right there, boy. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. And we watching that and witnessing that shit on a day-to-day basis. That's the reason why they moving so quick. That Revelation 12:12, they're going to come down with great wrath because they know that they have but a short time. A part of that is because of this shameful spewing, man, that's on their asses, man. But let's go back to that sentencing that he got again. Let's get this right again. It says, in exchange for having pleaded guilty this time, which he reversed his plea, he received a 10-year suspended sentence, of which he was served 6 months and then be required. Bro, that ain't nothing. That ain't nothing, bro. 6 months. You think they're gonna put him in general population with the rest of the criminals? No, they're gonna send him somewhere, real nice and patty. It's gonna be almost like a a nice little cozy apartment. He's gonna eat fresh meal. He ain't eating from the mess hall, man. He gonna have a TV. He gonna have cable. He gonna have a phone. He no more than likely, like house arrest, bro. For real, just some luxurious house arrest. He got to pay $270,000 in restitution, but he got millions of dollars, so that's nothing. Which I remember him making the church, pay him all a bunch of money when they first started, when the allegations first came out, man. Says why he believes that he's long since accepted responsibility in the eyes of God, and that Gateway Church was a manifestation of that acceptance. He readily accepted responsibility in the eyes of the law by virtue of his guilty plea. His lawyer said, yeah. says, well, not that readily, given his initial not guilty plea. Yeah, because he was trying to get away with it. And then once he got caught up, his lawyer probably was like, well, you better. And then they still talk things through where, he's still, he's not in trouble. But that's the scripture that I wanted to grab, man. They're not in trouble as other men. Now think about this. Had I been, because he's a known pastor, on the so-called white man's end. You know what I'm saying? He's known. He's a mega pastor. But so just think about, well, you see what happened with your boy TD Snakes, and they just sentenced Diddy ass to 4 years and 2 months in jail, which he probably gonna be in there, because we're praying for the Lord to come. His ass will be in there when the Lord comes. You know what I'm saying? So, let's get this Psalm 73 and 5. Let me start at verse 3. It says, for I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. Because this nigga wicked as hell. He's sitting on millions, man, trying to teach the scriptures, man. And actually, his church actually forgave him. You got forgiveness in the scriptures, but what did he try and do? He tried to be sly and sneaky, first off, and said that he wasn't even guilty. And nah, ain't nothing like that happened, you know what I'm saying? Then he admitted, when some little evidence came out, oh, well, yeah, it was a little inappropriate and this, and I was a little inappropriate. Nah, nigga, you was dealing with this little girl, man. Or what you would call a little girl. In the scripture, she would just be kind of turning into a young woman, you know what I'm saying? A virgin, a young maid, And in the biblical days, if she was developed enough, you know what I'm saying, at about the age of 13 or so, 14 at best, she would have been married off to somebody anyway. But see, you Christians, you're a bunch of goddamn hypocrites. Because see, you so-called white men, you had no problem sleeping with our little girls and our little boys during slavery. Younger than 12, actually. You was dealing with our kids, you know what I'm saying, in a real foul way. Then now all of a sudden you want to come up with these laws and shit, as if you're so goddamn righteous, and saying that, okay, well, no, that's too young. This is the age. But motherfucker, you was doing that all along. Anyway, verse 4, Psalms 73 and 4. For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. Verse 5 is the point. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Because just think, had this been a so-called black pastor, one of your Creflo Dollars or your TD Jakes or your, I don't know, shit, there's a bunch of them motherfuckers out here these days, but just think about that. And, still, these Christians think like, well, forgive, you got to forgive. All right, well, but the laws of the land says, nigga, you ain't supposed to be doing shit like that. So, all right, your ass is caught up and you supposed to be going and doing that jail time. This motherfucker gets 6 months, which he probably only going to do about 2. Matter of fact, he might even done that time served. But then again, you know what I'm saying? Esau, he don't, he probably been posted bond and been sitting around his house just golfing with Trump and shit ever since then, waiting on his trial and shit to come. So these people are not in trouble as other men, man. That's like Donald Trump. He been, everybody was on the heels about them Epstein. You ain't heard nothing about none of that shit no more since this guy, Captain Kirk, got blown away. Anyway, though, and let's see. It's not, as a matter of fact, it's not a big article because people, they're not going to plaster this across the news. Since Clemenshire first came forward, Morris and his lawyer have been seemingly confounded by the notion that sexually touching a 12-year-old girl is an actual criminal act. One of his lawyers even went so far as to claim that Clemenshire was the one who seduced him. That's Esau. Clearly neglecting to understand that even if that were true, which very much does not appear to be the case, it's still a crime. Yeah, she seduced him. Come on, bro. Said it does not matter, and she could have, who fucking knows these days, you know what I'm saying, but still at the same time too, you the grown man, you supposedly the pastor with all these, with all this integrity and shit, aren't you Trump's spiritual advisor? It says it does not matter if we're talking about a 12-year-old who, as described in one article, was dressed in a flowery pink pajamas and still liked to play with Barbie dolls, or if we are talking about a 12-year-old who is fully developed, talking college level classes, taking college level classes dressed up like Jessica Rabbit and actively trying to make out with you. A 20-year-old married minister, it's a crime. It is not a mitigating factor anymore than would be if especially precautious 12-year-old asks you to go murder someone or rob a bank. I committed a crime because this 12-year-old really wanted me to. It's not a valid excuse in any court of law anywhere, even if the crime you committed was against said 12-year-old. I very much doubt that Mars fully grasps this even now. No, because they don't give a fuck. What do you mean? After all, his former advisee has reportedly expressed disappointment in his supporters, who are still concerned with Jeffrey Epstein's crimes, being unable to understand that Palm Beach in 1990s was a different time. Yeah, because that internet wasn't on y'all asses like how it is now. While it is factually true that it was a different time, just as any time other than this moment is a different time, it still was not okay for grown men to have sex with teenagers or preteens even then, particularly in the case of actual sex trafficking. In fact, it was against the law. Yeah, all that good stuff. All that good stuff. But anyway, yeah, this lady is 55 years old now. But still, see. And as of late, that's just like, what when they done Bill Cosby like that. But this lady that done Trump like that, he had to come cough up that $83 million. She was a UGG mug too. But see, that Me Too movement, that's all, you know what I'm saying? That's pretty much almost like, let's get Deuteronomy. Because see, these used to be things that they used to be able to get away with. They keep showing this fucking Diddy shit. Fuck Diddy, man. And you know how Esau gets down. Everything's crumbling around his ass. He want to throw a nigga in the news. Deuteronomy 30:7. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So we're now starting to see, that shameful spewing being put on Esau's ass, man. He's being called out from every angle. As a matter of fact, there's another article right here. I forgot about this article. Let me go in here. Look at all these damn churches. It says 15,000 churches could close this year amid religious shift in U.S. See? The U.S. could see an unprecedented 15,000 churches shut their doors this year, far more than few thousand expected to open, according to the denominational report and church consultants, because the Lord is breaking this shit down. You've been running around out here lying about sweet white baby Jesus, the fucking idol. You know damn well the Lord's name is not Jesus, and they know damn well the Lord is not some blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy. They know if he was walking the earth today, he would be a dark, melanated man or mainly a Negro. And his name is not Jesus, because there was no letter J when the Lord walked the earth. His name is Yahushai, which means that he's the Savior or deliverer in the Paleo-Hebrew. They know that the Lord's name can't possibly be Jehovah, because there was no letter J, man. The letter J was invented in 1524 by a grammarian named Giorgio Trissino. So the letter is only 500 years old. That's why when you get a 1611 King James Bible, you would not see a letter J in there. You would see the letter I, but you won't see the letter J. And I is synonymous with the letter J, which was being used back then. But the Lord is not a Greek. His name is not Iesus or Iasus. His name is Yahushai, which means he's the Savior or deliverer in the Paleo-Hebrew. And the true name of the Father is Yahweh, which means that he exists or the existing one. Right? So the Lord is starting to break down all this little bullshit that y'all have been running down. See, the whole thing is crumbling. The Lord is hitting these motherfuckers from every angle, man. So now it says why it matters. The unprecedented contraction expected to continue over the next decade. We're praying ain't gonna be no next decade. We're praying this shit is a wrap now. These churches are not doing well. It's a bunch of games and gimmicks, especially amongst you Negroes, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Y'all need to for damn sure pull back, because you're going to get destroyed in those churches, man. All these people out here committing these fucking crimes, they're Christians. It says the unprecedented contraction expected to continue over the next decade risks leaving gaps in communities nationwide, particularly rural ones, where churches often are crucial providers of food aid. That's all that you're providing. Child care and disaster relief. That's all that you're doing. You know, you getting these 501c3 charters. You know what I'm saying? The people are not being converted. They're not being they're not repenting. That's all that these are, hubs for food, aid, child care, and disaster relief. No one is coming in there, because you're not teaching the true names of the Father Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. You're not telling who the real Israelites are. You're not saying you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites. You're not saying that the so-called white races of the Edomites. You know, you're not giving our people no relief, man. That's the reason why we don't do all that food bank shit. I'm with the the beloved apostles be going into that. You know what I'm saying? If somebody run up, because I've seen the apostles all the time on lives on Saturdays, and they be out. And the apostles, man, shit, they throw a person. Everybody will come out of their pocket, man. By the time that person walk away, hell, they might have $200 in their pockets, man. They walk by the camp. I've seen the apostles, tell the bishop or somebody to take a list of certain people and get them some socks, some underwear, some shoes, a coat, and shit like that. So nothing wrong with all that, But when it straight comes down to you setting up shop and you just got a goddamn soup kitchen open every week, these people are not going to come. And even Yahushua spoke of that. They're not going to come because of the word. They're going to come because they know that they can come and get something to eat. They're not listening to you. You just thinking that we love and Jesus fed the 5,000 with the fish and all right. But even Yahweh Shai spoke on that. You know what I'm saying? You just coming to get the food. You're not coming to get the spiritual food. I'm looking at this shit right here. This woman, Sarah Maloli, or whatever her name is. She's the first woman to be named the post-archbishop of the Catholic Church. So see, these people be going off, man. That church shit ain't shit. And that's the spirit. I was just looking at the news in the backdrop. Okay, but it says, the big picture. The decline of traditional brick and mortar churches comes as a record number of Americans. 29% are identifying as religiously unaffiliated, and 62% identify as Christians, down from 78% in 2007. And these Gen Zs, this new generation anyway, they don't give a fuck. They don't care. You got this little so-called comeback from this Captain Kirk getting shot. You know what I'm saying? And these people, come on, we know that they're not true Christians, man. Because the Lord is only dealing with the elect of Israel anyway, man. It says, at the same time, most non-denominational mega churches and evangelical Christianity in general are an increasing influence on American life, driven by charismatic leaders, sympathetic politicians, and social media. See, it's not grounded. None of that shit is grounded because the Lord is not dealing with it, man. This is just a delusion on the left-hand side for you clowns. It says, these colliding trends have shaken the nation's long-time religious footing, but they claim to be a Christian nation. But all in the name of sweet white baby Jesus, they broke all the commandments to take this land. You enslaved people. You killed all kinds of people. You stole the land. You don't keep the land Sabbaths in here. You just everything. You name it, man. You letting fruit cakes run around. You got laws on the book where men and women can get married. A man can marry a man. A woman can marry a woman. See, Trump, he's signing all these executive orders. He's supposed to be a Christian, but he's not getting rid of all that shit. He should be signing executive orders like, nope, there would not be no motherfucking gay marriages in this bitch no more. Why aren't they as stern about that as they were with the fat troops and the troops with beards and them talking about getting these army soldiers in fucking shape? Why aren't you just as adamant about cleaning up the country as far as that kind of sin? Because they don't give a fuck. They some damn hypocritical liars, man. Okay, it says there are fewer and fewer communities built around local churches, but rising pressures from conservative citizens and government officials to inject more religion into public school settings and institutions. Yeah, they trying to, if you notice, that, and that's really these Republicans and shit, because they trying to put the 10 Commandments back in the school and do all these different things, make America great again, Bibles and shit in the classrooms and shit. Like, man, that shit ain't gonna work. The Lord is slapping the joystick out of you niggas' hands, man. It says by the numbers, the record number of churches closing forecast this year stems from struggles many churches face, including retaining full-time pastors, said Thom Rainer, a former president of Lifeway Christian Resources, an entity of Southern Baptist Convention that provides resources for churches. Yeah, nobody trying to be no, That's how you. I mean, the hustle is gone, man. The hustle is gone. That prosperity gospel, that shit, all that shit is gone. None of these niggas coming up talking about, I used to sell dope. The ones that was doing that, they still around. Your last leg of that old school Christianity, man. I used to sell dope and the Lord changed my life. He knocked me off the horse like Paul. The hell out of here, man. It says in a widely shared Baptist Courier piece, Rainer, a consultant on church health, said that waves of church closings are coming and that another 15,000 U.S. churches will move from full to part-time pastors. The National Council of Churches estimate that 100,000 U.S. churches across denominations will close during the next several years. And what we praying ain't going to be another several years, man. That would amount to roughly a quarter of the nation's 350,000 to 400,000 churches today. So you got all these fucking churches, and these people out here still this goddamn wicked. The gospel should have been preached throughout the whole world. We should be out of here now. We should be out of here. It's billions of Christians. Here you go. They got Therese in the backdrop talking about released after arrest of animal cruelty charges. Yeah, they gonna throw a nigga on the news. That ain't even newsworthy. But they gonna throw you niggas on the news, man. They got the statue of Trump and Jeffrey Epstein holding hands, returns to the National Mall. Oh, man, he hating that shit. But anyway, man, this place is done, man. Well, let me see here. It says the closures mark a shift away from once powerful denominations in the U.S. that brought people of diverse political views together. The vanishing church, how the hollowing out of moderate congregations is hurting democracy, faith in us. No, the Lord is breaking this shit down, bro. Burr said that as a result, many communities are left with empty church buildings that can be difficult to sell because they often are next to historic cemeteries. Yep, there you go. That's praise. All praises to Yahweh by H.I.M by Shem Chachadash, man. A number of Catholic churches also appear to be declining, partly because of the continuing following from priest abuse lawsuits. Yeah, we just went into this guy, a priest. Hey, look, all these damn lawsuits. They done came out $2 billion, man, in settlements, man. It gotta be. I know they had at least up to $1 billion. I think it was like $890 million dollars at one point. Like $900 million for that last settlement that they had. But they've been settling cases like this for decades, man. Because it's nasty work, man. These people are not biblical. They're not supposed to have their hands on the Bible, man. They're the wicked, man. Baltimore's Catholic Archdiocese, the nation's oldest, is slashing its churches by about 2/3, citing shrinking attendance and aging buildings. I think the only ones who have shown some dynamism lately on the American Christian landscape are these non-denominational, usually charismatic megachurch. Yeah, the ones that's got music that look like a goddamn a Taylor Swift concert. Them types, them type of churches, or on the black side, so-called nigger side, you have Beyonce come through and shake her ass in there or something. It says evangelical megachurches, however, tend to have fluid memberships despite their growing influence in Republican Party politics. The large churches have a lot of churn. A lot of new people come in every year, but a lot of people leave too because they never build strong, deep ties. Because it's no root to it. There's no strong ties to even be, it's just, where people go through for a feel good. I went to church Sunday. That's it. Their success is based on one or two leaders, and a death or scandal can damage or bring an end to that church. Hey, man, where the Lord is bringing an end to these churches, man. Mega churches could take membership hits in the future if younger Americans feel they're being forced to accept religion in public spaces. I think evangelicals are going to pay the price for so closely hitching their wagon to MAGA, make America great again. Well, hey, this is what y'all stole the country with that shit, man. So I say go for it. If you're making kids pray in school, as I've learned anytime I make my kids do something, they'll do the opposite. Yeah. Well, that's because there's no real rooted structure there, man. But anyway, I didn't want to keep this long. I already went a little longer. But hey, this guy right here, let's go back to this guy, Trump's spiritual advisor. Why they trying to shove Diddy down your damn throat? What about this guy? What about these Catholic priests, bro? But they made sure to throw Diddy out there. And you ain't seen no more about this article. I just so happened to see this with this lady right here, Robin Panakia, or whatever her name is. Good look, young lady. Good look. She ain't letting that shit slide because she probably done been abused herself. Like straight up, bro. This is in Workette. Hey, this I will say this Newsbreak app, because you can actually do stuff on here. I might start posting myself, who knows, man. But you can do stuff on here and put out stories. And this Newsbreak app is kicking Esau ass in the teeth too. I will say that, because it's showing a lot of Esau's bullshit. Because when you go in here, let me just go into my little notifications. Just check your boy Trump out right here. I want to get into this too. We'll probably chop it up later. But young Trump voters reveal why their support for him has nosedived. Yeah. I mean, because they starting to see the lies. But this right here, I seen this. Donald Trump proposed new stimulus checks up to $2,000 for Americans. You know why? Because now he need to come up with some hush money. And it's really, he ain't gonna give you that money. He said that $5,000 shit a few months back when they was doing the Doge cuts. That's just to kind of throw you for another loop. This guy's the king of distractions. But anyway, what about his spiritual advisor? You think anybody in there gonna ask him about his spiritual advisor and the time that he's getting? Why did he get such a light sentence when Trump first he campaigned on, going hard on these pedophiles. He was gonna bring the list out. Nah, man, these people are some fucking liars, bro. Anyway, Salakia, man, for the language, but I mean they some liars, man. Anyway, with that, I pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwam Yasha Allah and the Bubble Ball.